Okay, so we've talked about defending at Manchester City, the lack of a centre-back, maybe some missteps in the transfer window, according to pretty much everyone who watches them. This season, what really has gone wrong? Because they've been defeated again. Is there something a bit more to it now? Is basically the confidence started to ebb away, the lack of feeling that they're really in a title race?
Yeah, I think maybe that's I think there's a little bit of everything. I mean, a lot of people want to be quick to write off City and Guardiola. I personally still think they're a very good side, but I think fundamentally the issues have been at the back. And clearly, he's not going to take any risks with Laporte in league games because, as you said, the title's well and truly over, and they've got Real Madrid in the Champions League, and he's going to need Laporte and others. So I think they're almost, wrapping some players in cotton wool now, just to make sure they're right for the correct part of the season. I think the point you made, I think is valid, that there is an edge probably going off them because Liverpool are so far ahead. That edge of we need to win to keep up the pressure is that dissipated a long time ago. Just probably before Christmas, early December. And the other thing that I've noticed about them, and I think it is a big problem for them, is, and it was evident again in the game yesterday, is there's almost a cockiness and a nonchalance in the final third. It's like, it was so wasteful because Tottenham should have been buried. A lot of teams this season should have been dead and buried, and they haven't been. And I don't think it's down to one individual, but I think it's just down to a collective, being too wasteful, too nonchalant, too slack and sloppy in the final third because we're going to create another 15 chances in the game. It's like the Sterling ball, I think it went across to Gundogan in the second half. It was a simple pass, overhit, he had to stretch for it. They had three players and the goalkeeper I don't even think he was anywhere near his goal at the time. And I think that's been a big problem for them. And I think if they solve that, it will take some pressure in the Champions League off the defensive deficiencies. But I'm not writing them off just yet. I think they're still a very, very good side.
Let's take the Champions League first and foremost. Is there a chance, you think, ironically, they're playing Real Madrid. Now, Real Madrid have had seasons like this where they've not been involved in the title race. Barcelona have been, far and away ahead of them, times when they were sort of second best to Atletico Madrid as well domestically. And they were still able to raise themselves in Champions League games. It's almost like they were playing just for that. Do you think there's a chance here? Is there enough quality at City? Is there enough of a mindset, do you think, to say, you know what, lads, is this what's going on? Guardiola's saying to the players, we focus on the Champions League, we're prepping ourselves for that. Do you see any signs of that?
I don't think there's any doubt they are prepping for that. There has to be one eye on this competition with team selection. There has to be. Because if he gets another spate of injuries to key players, he's doomed. Particularly as Real Madrid have stepped their game up in the last couple of months. But people say, oh, Guardiola, he's lost this and he's lost that and he's lost the edge. They're having a poor season by their standards. But generally with a few bits and pieces to go in, it's still a great team. Mm. And it's capable of doing great things on one-off occasions. And so for that reason, and for the reason that he hasn't won the Champions League out with Barcelona, I think it's huge for them, I really do. And
he's still fully focused on the job at City, do you think? You don't think that some of these knockbacks will affect him and he starts to look elsewhere and by his own standards, maybe what's happening with the team where he becomes a bit nonchalant about it all? No,
and I think the process in his mind will probably have started, but I think we're looking at 18 months down the line. He's already said, and he's been quoted on it, said, look, I will be at Manchester City next season unless they sack me. And they're not going to sack him. So I think he's hunkering down for, from his point of view, hopefully a successful Champions League run. A Carabao Cup final. You can talk about importance all you want, but it's a final. Are they in the FA Cup? I can't remember.
Yep.
Yeah. FA Cup.
Sheffield Wednesday.
Still playing. And then recruitment in the summer. And have a bash again. If we're sitting here in a year's time, I think the answer might be different for him, because he has a lifespan of clubs and he wants to go. And I understand that. You can go and let somebody else come in, you go, take a bit of time off, recharge and go again. But there's a lot of people out there are want to kill this guy, you know, because they're having not a very good season. They forget how good they've been. And it's like, oh, he's the worst thing ever now. I'm not on that bandwagon, but he's got a fair chunky work to do before the end of the season and then in the summer to try and get that sort of ship sailing in the right direction again.
Yep, and as Craig says, all eyes on the prizes that still exist for Manchester City between now and the end of the season.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube, and for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app, and for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.